you know, futures brokers are you know, they're an important part of the grain trade. A lot of them do have a lot of interaction with farmers. You know, most of the ones that we talk to on a regular basis, they have a focus on trying to build up farm business to try to get more farmer hedge accounts set up and to help farmers with risk management, because it's always been a bit of a puzzle as to why farmers in Western Canada don't hedge more. You know, it's really easy to identify, you know, a profitable pricing opportunity a year or two down the road, but it's rare that the cash grain contracts are there, or the basis is too weak, or that, you know, there's lots of reasons why you can't sell the physical crop far enough ahead, and where a futures hedge would make more sense, but it just never gets done. For as successful as the canola futures contract is, it's a bit of a puzzle as to why the amount that farmers use it for hedging is so low. So, I mean, I guess our theory is that it's simply a lack of comfort level, that that it's not necessarily part of the day-to-day work of farming, or it's such a drastically different type of work from farming that it stops a lot of producers from taking, you know, a few time-consuming steps to get their account set up. Like a futures account is like a bank account. You open it up you get an account manager, your futures broker. You give them a deposit, a chunk of money, leaves your bank account and goes into the futures brokerage company bank account, and then they don't necessarily manage it on your behalf, because the farmer's making the decisions about when to buy and sell the futures or options. But the same way as a bank account, when you buy or sell a future option and close out the position, that account balance goes up and down. And so that's a big difference from a futures broker and a cash broker. A cash broker is just putting two parties together into a physical trade of a couple of truck lots and charging a service for that matchmaking process and for babysitting that trade all the way through. But a futures broker is kind of taking ideas from the futures market, which is a representation of, you know, thousands or millions of individual buyers and sellers, and presenting those opportunities to the account holders. And very oftentimes, you know, the futures broker is putting in a lot of speculative recommendations or a lot of different trading ideas, spread trades or trades in commodities that don't necessarily correlate to the cash crops that are in the individual farmer's bins or field. So the whole idea of hedging that is supposed to accompany this process of opening up a hedge account and buying and selling futures and options and trading in this way is just, like I said before, there are a lot of steps that need to be taken, but it doesn't necessarily match up to either the bank account model or the cash broker model. So when you're talking to a futures broker as a producer, given that it's kind of a dialogue and a professional service that isn't widely understood, it's not locally available, and so I think it can be tough to really clarify the expectations and the deliverables and what's this guy actually trying to sell me. And in cases where that's not well understood, you know, the reason why a lot of farmers don't have trading accounts is because a lot of the farmers that used to have trading accounts no longer have trading accounts because they had a nasty experience when they opened it up, didn't quite understand what they were doing, what they were being sold, what they were trading, what all the ideas, what the implications were, and then all of a sudden there's a big, you know, a big negative implication or balance on this hedge account statement, which really represents a loss in cash from the farm. And it's tough to always, sometimes those futures gains and losses don't correlate whatsoever to the price of the grain in the bin. If you're trading orange juice, that's not necessarily going to correlate to the value of your canola, so it's not a hedge. But even in cases where it is a hedge, then there's these nuances like currency risk and basis that you just kind of get, it's like getting stuck in a spider web in your face. It's just sort of everywhere with all these considerations that are not really making pure logical sense. That said, it's really simple stuff. It's not simple like fixing a piece of machinery, but it's the same kind of simple. It's, you know, it's adding and subtracting, and the pieces all fit here in a very logical framework. And I guess that's what we're trying to do with our HedgeLink program, is to clarify the simplicity of a futures account, the hedging mechanism, the implications, you know, to the individual farmer's bank account, And to just to try to get the farmer to a basic level of comfort, because this stuff is not rocket science. You know, a futures broker is, you know, the type of personality that talks so fast you can hardly keep up, and they're always throwing around $5 words, and they're always in a rush because they're brokers. They're like investment brokers, where the boom, boom, boom. The more of these trades that they put through, the more money they make. So they need to be on and off the phone constantly in order to be earning enough commission to have a life. And so the time that it might take for an individual farmer to understand, especially in the initial stages of having this account set up, you know, I don't think that futures brokers try to rush them off the phone on purpose. I just think that it's two different languages being spoken a lot of the time, and a lot of producers might hesitate to ask as many questions as they need to in order to get comfortable with the trades. So hence the disappointing experience. They either go away, say this is not for me, because they never really did get comfortable with it, or they do the trade anyway, it goes sideways, they don't understand why, or it goes really well, and then they trade twice as much money the next time, and then it goes bad, and then they're even more disappointed, and they're like, it's not for me. I think all this can be solved by just a basic comfort level, which comes from really a lot less textbook course type of education than has been tried in the past. You know, if we're counting, I guess the third reason I think why a lot of farmers don't have trading accounts and don't actively hedge using futures and options is because so much of the focus on the educational side has been on, here's your grid. You have the cash, you put it in the field in April, and then you sell in November, and then in November when the basis widens, and you lift the hedge, and it all just looks so pretty because they never assume basis changes, and they never take into account the currency, and it all just works great for corn and soybeans in Ontario. And you know, we're dealing with more complicated correlation factors out here, like oats. It's not deliverable in Western Canada. Same thing with the wheat now. And the durum, isn't really trading. Barley's been up and down in terms of whether you could get in and out of those contracts if there was enough liquidity. So there's just a whole host of prairie-specific issues that make the typical hedge more complicated. The math, the logic, the process behind it is still just as simple as those grids make it out to be, but it takes maybe more working through specific examples to get the comfort level. And it takes maybe a little bit more understanding of the detail and the possible implications given 2 or 3 more factors like currency and basis and stuff in order to be really comfortable with the potential outcome.